Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Well, folks, it looks like the dad bod machine has been on the road, because it has moved back about 3-4 feet. Probably took it for a test drive, even though the windshield's not clean. I'm not sure. We got a couple things to do. One, we're going to change the rear springs, lowering springs. And then two, we're going to see if we could test and see what's going on with the climate control system with my VST. Let's kick this off with the rear springs. This car has rear springs on it. I think they are EBOC or EBOC, whatever you call them. And I believe we're putting IPD rear springs on them. As you can see, the gray protective coating is gone from the rotors. So yes, this car has been test driven. And I don't see any fluids on the ground, so we should be in good shape. Uh-oh, I do see oil leak under there, so I'm going to suspect the turbo drain. So we're going to check that after we do these rear springs. And the coolant system burp, that's empty. And I do see a lot of oil down on the IPD belly pan, but it doesn't seem like any's coming out of this timing belt cover. And I don't see any coming out of these cam seals. So again, I'm going to assume that it's coming out the turbo drain. So we're going to redo that turbo drain. But first, we're going to get these rear springs replaced as soon as Andrew brings me the rear springs. It appears that the rear springs are here in the back of the car. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting that done. Woo, woo. These are the IBOC or EBOC springs. Springs on these cars are very easy to replace. You put your jack stands in position there and there. Then you take the nuts off of your shocks, both sides. Then you jack up this piece under the spring until you start seeing the shock move up. Then you slide the shock off. Then you take the bolt out from under the spring. Do not do that with an impact, because those screws are cast into this little cap there, and you don't want to break those loose from that. So don't do it with an impact. Do it with a hand tool. Unscrew those all the way off. Now when I lower this, it should come low enough to let the spring loose. And then I could just pry the spring out of there and put the other spring in. These are H&R springs coming out, EBOC springs going in.
It's just getting hot and burning, and it's what's causing all that, like, because it didn't fall on the floor. All that brake fluid was there.
Uh-huh.
So I'll clean it up and then start getting anything drifting. I hit after, like, I want to hit, not just like driving a little bit. I hit 14 psi.
Nice. How does it feel like it's running? Does it feel like it's running better than it was when you had the green injectors in?
Yeah, because now when I floored it, it wasn't like
sputtering or anything?
Yeah. I didn't push it that hard because the stuff was in the back, you know?
Yeah.
I was kind of babying it, but when I had a chance to go split, that's when I hit 14.
Yeah. And that's all it takes. Tighten that down, tighten that down, tighten that down, tighten that down, tighten that down. The most important thing is you don't tighten those so tight that you break them. I think the torque is something like 35 foot-pounds, but I could be wrong. So you see all this oil coming out of here? I'm assuming that's coming out of the turbo drain, blowing all the way back down the back of the car. So we're going to wipe this off with a rag and make sure our turbo drain is not leaking. because I don't think it's coming off of this bolt here. But I don't think we can get to this turbo drain without taking this IPD pan down, which is kind of a mess. So let's take this IPD pan down, which I don't like doing, but I got to. And there's that oil, folks, as sludgy as it looks, blowing up to the turbo. So we're going to do an oil change, and when we do, we're going to check inside the bolt. Hopefully it's hollow and not one of the magnetic bolts, to see if there's sludge in the bolt. But yeah, I think all this stuff is coming from this turbo drain. It looks like the seal was pushed out. So we're going to take it down, put new gasket set in it. Well, folks, I believe we have it. New gasket up there. When I pushed this drain tube in, it actually had a little bit of distance I could push it in, and had too much gap up there, so the screws pulled that back about 1/8 of an inch. But the seal's in there all the way around. Should not have a leak. We're going to fire it up, let it run, rev it up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPMs, then we're going to drop the oil and change the oil in this thing, because all this loose oil back here seemed like it had some sludge, and our drain gasket did have a cut in it right there, so we should be good to go. Even though this has an open diff, when the wheels are on the ground, they both have power. Whenever one starts spinning, that's when it shifts power, but it's two-wheel drive until you start spinning tire. Looks like that torque mount's destroyed. Need to replace that. Give you a little bit smoother shifts. We're gonna drop this oil, see how thick this oil is. Let's go, people. Yep, we got a magnet there. That stuff is pretty thick. Going to go in with a fresh oil and fresh filter. Drive it 100 miles, do another oil change. Drive it 1,000 miles, do another oil change. We might send this off to the lab. Man, it don't even look like we got 3 quarts here. Look at that stuff oozing out of there. That's bad. Chunks of oil. Ooh, that's nasty. That's bad, worse than Panthers. I think that's oil still coming out of the oil pan. We gotta flush this stuff out, man. Might throw some transmission fluid in here too. We should be good to go. Gonna run the car, heat it up, drain the oil. After 25-30 miles, 30 minutes of driving, do it again until this oil starts coming out thin. And now that we're all done, we have blessed this car by Robert DIY. Whoop whoop. One of the marvelous P80 improvements is these wonderful door lights. My daughter lost a laptop, which was a MacBook, her backpack, purse, lost about $3,500 for stuff. One of these lights popped out. She thought she closed the door bounced open, she walked away, somebody got her. If this metal is bent at all, these won't clip in right. The bottom of it has a couple of little hooks there. You can see it. That hook's on the flat metal. This clip pops in and stays clipped in here. It's a, man, sensitive thing. If you put a little piece of tape or something to get these stay just a little bit tighter, that might help you get that to clip just a little bit better. So I put that there, I wrap that there. That extends this part where it clips, I don't know, maybe less than 1/16 of an inch, but you hook in the bottom, you clip in the top, and that should stay. So that's just a little bit tighter. Then you could trim this little tape off there, but you want to keep these from falling out. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.